All right, I'd like to welcome back to the stage Brent Schroeder.
So, Michael, I realized you did not get your own
That's
chameleon.
true, I didn't. Thank you,
So,
Brent.
there
That
you
is
go.
really thoughtful of you.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Anytime. All right. So now I'm privileged to have Arpan Shah, General Manager of Microsoft Azure Infrastructure, with us today. So now we can talk a little bit about what SUSE and Microsoft are doing together with Azure and SUSE. Arpan.
Brent.
Hi, Arpan. It's great to see you.
Good
to have you here. So we had some great conversations last year.
We did.
With KY and the contributions that were being made by Microsoft to the kernel environment, and now we're really excited to see kind of what's next and where we're going.
And I have to say, this is the first time I went from a small green room to a really big one. So
Yeah,
it's exciting.
It is. All right, so we've seen the great news that over 95% of Fortune 500 companies trust Microsoft and are leveraging Azure. Can you share a little bit about why Azure is attracting such enterprise customers?
Yeah, and you mentioned 95%, but what's also exciting is that about half of the cores in Azure are running Linux workloads. I'll take full credit for that, so thank you. And what we're seeing is, a few years ago, and you've been talking about this as well, right? Mode 1 and Mode 2. A few years ago, enterprises were bringing kind of your dev test workloads.
Right.
And now we're seeing enterprises bring mission critical production workloads. And there are no better examples than SUSE and SAP, right? So whether it's Coke One North America, Stryker, Co-op, you name it, some of the biggest companies, Rio Tinto, are deploying on Azure. And one of my favorites is Daimler.
Okay.
While I don't own a Daimler, I can say that Daimler hosts their contract management solution. And they were able to move their SAP deployment from on-premises to Azure in less than 3 months and get operational, and now they're able to update it on a daily basis if they want.
Wow.
And they're saving more than 50%. And so those are just some examples of some of the great things we're seeing with enterprises. In terms of why Azure, some of the top reasons I have are, one is Azure is available in 54 regions across 6 continents. In fact, we just announced the opening of South Africa.
Okay.
So that's exciting. We also have a lot of built-in security management. And I know SUSE has a lot as well, like building from cloud to edge to core, as you said it. And we also have hybrid. And I think that's a really important piece where customers want choice. So we provide that as well. So I'd say those are some of the reasons.
No, those are great. Yeah, and I think that's the key. I think your Daimler example is great as far as a company being able to move there quickly.
Right.
And still run at the enterprise level and the enterprise expectations that they have. So Microsoft, being our top partner in cloud computing, what are the new things we've achieved together, working together, and that make Azure and SUSE a differentiated solution to our customers?
Yeah, it's been great working with SUSE. I think one of the things that we jointly share is a customer obsession, making sure our customers, all of you, have a great experience. So a few things I'd highlight are, number one, just kind of the close joint engineering. I know Dr. Rajesh talked about that as well, that we work so closely with the SUSE team to make sure that the SLES kernel is optimized for Azure. And that's great for customers and to make sure it runs as best as possible on Azure. The second is support. And while we don't want anything to go wrong across Azure and SUSE, things will go wrong for you and for customers. So when that happens, we have a joint support experience. So you're able to call in to kind of one team on the Azure side, and our support engineers will work with the SUSE engineers to resolve your issues. So really trying to make sure that you're able to address your root cause. And the third one, I'd say if I had to pick, was the work we're doing with SAP. SUSE, SAP, and Microsoft, really building out some of the largest instances. So today we have up to 24 terabytes in a single node on bare metal. So again, really this notion of letting enterprises bring some of these biggest workloads to the cloud. So those are
great.
some of mine.
Yeah, that's good. So you mentioned security.
Yeah.
And security is top of mind wherever you go, especially when it's into the mission critical workloads and exposing or not exposing data that is not meant to be out there. What do our customers need to know about security?
Yeah, I mean, a few years ago, one of the important questions customers were concerned about, and one of the blockers for them was security. They didn't want to move to the cloud because they were worried about security. And these days, customers are looking to see how the cloud can help them with their security posture. And so that is one reversal I've seen. And at Microsoft, we invest a lot of time and energy on security. So we invest about $1 billion a year, over $1 billion a year, on making sure we give a secure foundation. And we have 3,500 specialists on security, day in and day in and day out. They think about security to make sure your environments are secure. And along with that, what we do on our foundation, we also provide tools. So Azure Security Center can help with security management, which works with SLES. So if you have SLES VMs or any other type of VMs or deployments, you can get a great sense of what are the ports that are open, what are patches that might be missing, so you can take action. In about a year, and by the way, that works for environments on premises as well as the cloud and in other clouds.
Yep.
So this whole notion
the whole
of multi-cloud.
hybrid, multi-cloud.
And the other example is Azure Sentinel. So just about a few weeks ago, we announced Azure Sentinel, and it's a cloud-native SIEM. So you're able to effectively stand up a SIEM, not worry about the infrastructure. It's effectively a SaaS solution, and you can connect to data, and then we give you a bird's eye view of your security posture, and you could do that without worrying at all about infrastructure and built-in AI. So it'll take all the signals across all environments, across your environment, and say, you might have an issue here. So again, that's something that's available, and people can try it out.
Fantastic. Okay. So Azure enables businesses to move faster and reduce costs, but we know it is putting pressure on IT from their traditional governance process. One of the things I talked about in my talk. How do you govern and manage SUSE in Azure?
Yeah, I mean, I think what's fascinating is cloud has this promise of speed, right, and agility. So you can innovate fast if you're in the cloud, but then you also need control, right? So we think about how do we balance speed and control. And so a couple things we've done, again, working with the SUSE team, is we want to make sure we're supporting you with existing tools. So the SUSE tools you use and love work natively with Azure. So SUSE Manager is one example. And also within Azure, we provide built-in kind of free controls. So things like Azure Policy and Azure Blueprint. And what's exciting is you can actually set up a policy that says, I don't want a certain port open on this VM. I don't want this VM available in a certain region. So you can set up these policies, and you can enforce them, hard enforce them, or you can audit. And so you have all this control. We also give cost management, because cost is another thing that we hear about. Like, I'm not sure what my cost will be.
Right.
So we give Azure Cost Management so you can control it. And lastly, we have all the native features on backup and monitoring, so you can monitor your applications.
Right. Okay.
All with SLES, works directly with SLES.
Very good. All right. So our theme this year is My Kind of Open.
Right.
And I know Microsoft is very active in the open source community and just seen a tremendous evolution over the last few years, which has been fantastic. What's your future roadmap at Microsoft for customers with using Linux and open source on Azure?
Yeah, I think about, to me, what it means, My Kind of Open, is really two things. One is, how can we contribute to the innovation that we talked about. How can we as a company be involved in the open source community? So we've been actively contributing in in the Linux kernel, for example, Kubernetes and VS Code. So we really want to make sure that we're driving the innovation with this community and the larger community. The other is making sure that we're offering choice for all our customers. And so delivering an open platform, delivering different operating systems, and also delivering a broad community of tools and processes, as well as options. So I also think about hybrid.
Right.
So things like Azure Stack, on-premises, or obviously Azure as well. So those are some of the elements of my kind of open.
All right, very good. Well, let's welcome back to the stage the VP of Product Marketing from SAP. We've been talking about the relationship and how SAP contributes to that. So Daniel Lahl.
Brent,
Welcome back, Daniel.
good
Hi,
to see
Dan.
you.
Good seeing you
Arpan,
again.
good to
Good
see you.
seeing you.
So I got to say, Brent, before we get going,
Yeah.
normally it's the business application software guy that's suited up,
Yeah.
and the infrastructure guys that are not suited up. And so you said it's a brave new world. I think you're right.
Right.
Okay.
Or-
You know
So-
what? I'll just take off.
There you go. Yeah.
We're multimodal now.
No pressure, Brian.
No pressure.
No pressure.
Mode 1, mode 2, mode 1.5. Okay.
Hybrid.
That's it. Hybrid.
All right. Can you guys share a little bit about the unique partnership between Microsoft, SUSE, and SAP?
Sure, I can take that one first. So as you've already alluded to, we've already talked about on stage, there's a lot of joint engineering going on between Microsoft, Azure, SAP, and SUSE. So that's really critical that our engineering teams are working together. The second thing we're doing is we're engineering HANA specifically for Azure. And as you talked about earlier, we now have instances that are very, very large HANA instances that run on Azure, either 12 terabytes as HANA as a service, or up to 24 terabytes for bare metal servers. And that'll cover, up to 98% of all customer situations. So very excited about that. And then finally, we have joint programs and joint initiatives with Azure, with Microsoft, with SUSE, with our system integration partners to help customers move their SAP landscapes from on-premises to the cloud. Rio Tinto is one that moved 24 apps and 35 terabytes onto Azure. So it was awesome.
Yeah, and I think you brought an interesting point. I mean, there's a joint engineering, which is really important, but also making sure our customers can move, like migrating and helping them with their kind of existing processes, systems, and through the process. Because it's not just about technology, but it's about people and processes.
Exactly. The SIs play a key role in that.
Right.
Okay, very good. So what are your plans for the near future on helping our customers together?
Take that one, Arpan.
Yeah, I mean, look, I personally, you were joking about it, but I actually do agree in the sense that just moving and changing infrastructure is just phase one. To me, when you're moving from on-premises to Azure, on SAP on Azure, you're optimizing, you're improving costs, and you're basically letting the infrastructure work for you, scale, management, security. But to me, that's just phase one. I do think once you do that, there's a huge opportunity of innovating. And you talked about some of the technology enablers, but for me, it's about digital transformation. How can we help take some of that data, take the systems, and get analytics out of it, get AI out of it?
Yeah.
And so really working on, with Azure services and with SAP services, on enabling our customers to actually go through that second phase of really building on top of kind of their systems in Azure. So that's one of the things that I think is really exciting.
I totally agree.
And I think speaking from an SAP standpoint, it used to be that you would buy an SAP system, it would take a lot of consulting hours, it would take a long time to get your system running. And so when you move it to the cloud, now you're in a new environment. You're in an agile environment, right? And so now what we expect customers to be doing is taking platform services, either from Microsoft or from SAP or others, doing things like enriching the user experience, building new extensions on using serverless technology, doing IoT and blockchain and AI, ML. And that customer that we've talked about, Rio Tinto, their first step was move all their applications onto the Azure cloud, but then they sensorized all of their mining devices through an IoT technology, and then doing preventative maintenance from SAP in real time.
Right.
So,
right.
Really cool. That's next round of innovation, fail fast, use the new technologies, make it go quickly.
Yep.
So.
Yeah, and from an IT and developer perspective, how do we create solutions so it's as easy as possible and
exactly.
seamless, so it doesn't feel like complete Lego blocks. I think it's really important.
Yep. No, I think it sounds great and very exciting. I think what we've got in store for our customers going into the future, and how the partnership's continuing to evolve, and can't wait till we come back next year and have an even longer list of customers and accomplishments. So
Sounds great.
fantastic.
Thank you,
Thank you
Brent.
guys very
Thanks for
much for
having us.
joining
Thank you,
us.
Brent.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. Thanks.
Absolutely.